The Galactic Academy's xenobiology lab hummed with the usual cacophony of alien languages. Marcus Webb sat at his station, carefully manipulating the holographic controls of the dissection apparatus. Around him, his classmates, a mixture of Krillians, Vexori, and Thulians, worked on their own specimens with varying degrees of enthusiasm. "Be careful with that cutting beam, human," chirped Zixala, a Krillian whose crystalline body refracted the lab's blue lighting into rainbow patterns. "Your species has such fragile epidermis. One slip and you'll need medical intervention." Marcus smiled politely, accustomed to such comments after 3 months at the academy. Humans were newcomers to the galactic community, having only achieved faster-than-light travel 15 years ago. Most species viewed them as hopelessly weak, soft-bodied, lacking natural armor, claws, or venom, with a pathetically narrow range of environmental tolerances. "I'll manage," Marcus replied, adjusting his safety goggles. The specimen before him was a drachnid parasite, preserved in stasis. The assignment was straightforward: extract the neural cluster without damaging the surrounding tissue. Marcus activated the cutting beam, a thin line of concentrated plasma that could slice through organic material with surgical precision. Everything happened in an instant. The stasis field flickered, a power fluctuation that would later be traced to a faulty capacitor. The drachnid parasite, very much alive and very much angry, exploded from its containment. Its razor-sharp appendages lashed out in all directions. Marcus threw himself backward, but not fast enough. The creature's primary claw raked across his left forearm, splitting his lab coat and the flesh beneath in one clean stroke. Blood, shockingly red to alien eyes, welled up immediately, running down his arm in thick rivulets. The security system activated instantly. A stasis field encapsulated the parasite, freezing it mid-strike. Alarms blared. Professor Thundrick, a massive Thulian with 4 arms and slate-gray skin, rushed over. "Medical team." "Now," the professor bellowed, his translator rendering his concern in a dozen languages simultaneously. But Marcus was already moving. He stripped off his ruined lab coat and grabbed an emergency medical kit from under his station, standard equipment that most students never bothered to locate. His classmates stared in horror as he calmly assessed the wound. The gash was deep, nearly 4 inches long, running from just below his elbow toward his wrist. In the harsh lab lighting, they could see the subcutaneous layers, the white gleam of fascia, the dark red muscle beneath. "Human Webb, remain still," Professor Thundrick commanded. "You're in shock. The medical team will." "I'm fine, Professor," Marcus interrupted, his voice steady. He opened the kit with one hand, his movements precise despite the injury. "This needs immediate closure or I'll lose too much blood. Human clotting factors take several minutes to activate effectively." Zixala's crystalline structure flickered with distress colors. "But the pain. How are you even conscious?" Marcus pulled out a small injector and pressed it against his shoulder, hissing slightly as the analgesic entered his system. "Adrenaline is a hell of a drug. Plus, I grew up in Montana. This isn't my first rodeo." What happened next would be discussed in academy dormitories for years to come. Marcus cleaned the wound with antiseptic solution, barely flinching as it foamed pink with diluted blood. Then he removed a curved suturing needle and medical thread from the kit. His classmates watched in stunned silence as he threaded the needle with his right hand and teeth. "Human physiology requires immediate wound closure for optimal healing," he explained, his tone almost conversational, as if he were discussing the weather rather than preparing to pierce his own flesh. "We don't have regenerative capabilities like Krillians, and our immune systems, while robust, work better when contamination is minimized." He pinched the wound edges together with his right hand and, with remarkable steadiness, pushed the needle through his own skin. Velcor, a Vexori whose species communicated emotional states through bioluminescent patterns, flashed a sickly yellow-green. "This is barbaric. How can you?" "It's practical," Marcus said, pulling the thread through and creating the first stitch. Humans have been doing field medicine for thousands of years. You work with what you have. Another stitch. His jaw was tight, but his hands remained steady. Besides, where I come from, the nearest hospital was 40 miles away. My dad taught me to stitch when I was 12. Said if I was going to climb rocks and chase rattlesnakes, I'd better know how to fix myself up. Professor Thundrick watched with what might have been approval in his multifaceted eyes. The medical team is 2 minutes away, human web. I'll be done in one, Marcus replied, continuing his work. Stitch after stitch, each one neat and evenly spaced. His classmates couldn't look away. The human wasn't crying out, wasn't calling for help, wasn't even trembling. He was simply doing what needed to be done. When the medical team arrived, they found Marcus tying off the final knot. He'd completed 12 stitches, closed the wound completely, and was applying a sterile bandage. His vital signs, when they scanned him, showed elevated heart rate and adrenaline, but nothing indicating shock or distress. Well, Marcus said, flexing his fingers experimentally, that's going to leave a scar. My girlfriend's going to kill me. I promised no more adventure wounds this semester. The lead medic, a Krillian with extensive xenomedicine training, examined the sutures with professional interest. This is exceptional work. Self-inflicted field trauma treatment. The spacing is precise, the tension adequate. You closed it faster than our response time. Marcus shrugged with his good shoulder. Like I said, not my first time. Humans are pretty good at patch jobs. We kind of have to be, we're fragile, but we're also really good at fixing fragile things. In the following days, the story spread throughout the academy. The human who'd calmly stitched his own wound became something of a legend. But more than that, it sparked a deeper curiosity about Earth and its people. They were fragile, yes. They lacked natural weapons and armor. But they'd evolved not just to survive despite their vulnerability, but to thrive because of it. They'd learned to heal themselves, to push through pain, to remain functional when other species would have surrendered to shock. Zixala approached Marcus in the cafeteria a week later. I have been researching human history, the Krillian said. Your species performed surgery on yourselves for millennia before developing anesthesia. You amputated your own limbs to survive. You walked hundreds of miles on broken bones. Why? Marcus looked up from his meal, his stitched arm healing nicely beneath a fresh bandage. He smiled. Because we're too stubborn to quit. And because we figured out a long time ago that the universe doesn't care if you're tough or not. So you either learn to patch yourself up and keep going, or you don't make it. We chose to make it. That, more than any display of technology or rhetoric about humanity's potential, finally made his classmates understand, humans weren't weak despite their fragility. They were strong because of it.